Hi, welcome to Charter Conversations. I'm Drew D'Amico, President of Building Hope Real Estate. Today, I'm speaking with Dr. Marco Clark. Dr. Clark is an innovator, a well-respected educator, an author, and founder and CEO of the Richard Wright Public Charter School for Journalism and Media Arts. I'm very excited to have a conversation with Dr. Clark today. Dr. Clark, you're an author. Tell us a little bit about your book.
I wrote a book called Parents, Where Are You? The Kids Are Out of Control. And basically, this was a blueprint of what I felt every parent needed to know, particularly parents in challenging situations, of things that are happening with our young people. And so it was a very vibrant book, sort of a blueprint of questions to ask yourself. So, for example, if your child is sent home because of bad behavior or not doing homework, do you reward them? And in some instances, I found that we had parents that would reward kids for bad behavior. And so what I recognized is that I started asking a bunch of questions and put it in a book so that the parents would understand that, hey, maybe I need to do a self-reflection. And what was interesting is that some of the things that I wrote about, I had to do a self-reflection on myself as a parent, and was I rewarding my daughter too much for some things that she was involved? So this is the a book that I wrote. It's a really easy read, quick read, but it's a self-reflection over something that I think parents need to really engage upon, as well as I told the truth about what educators really don't say. The parking lot conversation is inside of this
Yeah.
book. And so I kind of put that
Yeah.
out there so parents would know how educators really feel.
What makes you America's toughest principal?
I'm America's toughest principal because I do not believe in the status quo. I do not believe in excuses. Excuses are monuments of nothingness. They build bridges to nowhere. People who use these as tools of incompetencies shall become masters of nothingness. And that's what I'm pushing inside of our students each and every day, that you cannot use your challenge to hold up progress. You can't use a challenge as an excuse for bad behavior or not getting your schoolwork done or just any excuses, because the world doesn't expect that. And we don't expect the status quo of what's written in the newspapers on a daily basis to be their normal or to be their reality. Instead, we're creating a new normal, and that new normal says that you can be excellent, you can be great, you can be the next CEO, you can be the next politician. So I'm pushing beyond that. And so I don't take excuses from students. I don't take excuses from teachers, staff, parents. I believe that we can move forward. And that's the passion and energy that I'm giving.
Are you tougher on parents or students?
I'm tough on everybody.
Is it hard to be tough these days over Zoom? How do you stay relevant to your students?
I'm tough on the fact that I have the passion, the empathy, the compassion for our young people. They can feel it. They can understand that I'm there with them. I'm driving with them. And they know that at the end of this day, this is going to be over at some point in time. And my expectations is always the same. And so if you're not living up to that, then when this is over, I'm coming for you. I need you to step up and do exactly what our expectations are. And so, yes, I'm tough, and I'm holding our students accountable each and every day, as well as our parents.
You named your school after the author Richard Wright. Richard Wright was illiterate as a child. He fell in love with reading and writing, and eventually found his voice to be the valedictorian of his class. He wrote classic books like Black Boy and Native Son. You also parallel a little bit to Richard Wright with with your story. Maybe you could tell us a little bit about that and the parallels between yourself and Richard Wright.
Well, one of the things that was so eloquent about Richard Wright is that he was not a conformist. And one of the things for me is that I have refused to conform to the words or the liking of anyone other than a person who believed that I could. And so I was at 10 years old a spelling bee champion. And, I had a love for learning and words. And
Yeah.
by 11 years old, I had a guidance counselor who evaluated some data on state assessment and deemed that I was considered functionally illiterate, which was definitely wrong. And what happened with my struggle with reading is that I had a issue with reading comprehension. And instead of creating a strategy for me to improve the reading comprehension deficit, a deficiency, um, she decided to just label me and move forward. With that,
Hmm.
Drew, came a lot of challenges for me. I spent 5 years in high school because I lived out the label. I scored a 480 on the SAT, and I graduated from high school with a 1.6 grade average out of high school. And when I wanted to go to college, I was rejected to over 150 colleges and universities throughout the country trying to get in and to better myself. And so that story goes in with Richard Wright and how he decided to change his life, and how, even though he excelled to become the valedictorian of the class, he would not conform and refuse to do a speech because of what someone had labeled him as early on. And that's where
Yeah.
we sort of get to this whole name with Richard Wright.
Explain the thinking behind starting in eighth grade and how the kids are coming to you, and then take me to where they're ending up with the type of content that they're producing, things like that. I mean, let's get into the core of the school.
Drew, we decided to start with eighth grade because I had been a high school principal before. And typically, what had happened, I watched ninth graders come in and spend 5 years in high school because they did not understand credits, they did not understand cumulative GPAs. Or track to college or track to careers. And so I recognized that somewhere in middle school, there was a gap that folks forgot to tell them and teach them about this trajectory. And so one of the things that I wanted to start with eighth grade is so that you would have a year prerequisite that would look exactly like ninth grade, to get you like a starter kit to get you going, so that you will understand credits, and we would teach you about credits and the SAT and ACT and things of that nature, to give us a
Hmm.
5 year. So I created a 5 year model, and rather than have you spend 5 years when it would hurt you, I gave you 5 years where it will help you. And so, as far as the reason that we chose journalism and media arts and getting to the girth of the program is that the news capitalizes on 10% of the population of young people who are doing negative stuff. It does not highlight the 90% of young people who are really pushing to achieve their aspirations. And so we wanted journalism and media arts for a couple reasons. One, that the journey of Richard Wright, as well as myself, is that if you can learn to read well, then your writing skills will improve. And if you can read and write well, then you'll develop a voice, and you can go back in the community and change that trajectory one person at a time. The reason that we chose the media arts is that the media arts would allow our that 90% of young people to be able to tell the truth and tell a real story about what's happening with them and the challenges they face in their community, and highlight those students who are on a positive trajectory.
Wow. What are some of the challenges that those students face?
We have students who typically come to us 3 to 5 grade levels behind in reading, 3 to 5 grade levels behind in math. And here you have students that are considered to be under what folks would say we're supposed to get them college ready by the time they graduate. Well, we all know that's a hell of a journey to be on with students that are 3 to 5 grade levels behind in reading. And so part of the toughness from of what I'm embedding in them is that by the time you get to us, we have no time to play and we have no time to sit back. I don't allow
Yeah.
parents, just because your mother may not be part of your life or your father may not be a part of your life, no excuse for not being great. My population, we serve over 85% of our kids are considered at risk. And for many folks, that means that they will be failures, but not at Richard Wright.
You were the founder of Manna Block. Maybe you could talk about that and how that relates to success at Richard Wright and you and graduating from Richard Wright.
One of the things that I found out with kids outpouring is that they wanted to come to school, but I don't feel safe leaving my community and then coming back in my community where I'm being accosted by folks that look exactly like me. And so what are you guys going to do to ensure that I can get home safe, I can get to school safe, and then have my learning journey happen for me? So we initiated Man the Block, and my goal was to get as many adults in the entire city out on the concrete every day, just standing and praising and highlighting young people for going to school and trying to achieve their aspirations. And so we started this all across the city. And I'm excited that we've been able to have thousands of volunteers that are out there every day across the city, visually watching, reporting incidents, and being involved with this safe passage for our young people to get to and from school. That has allowed them and pushed them to want to go to school each and every day.
Does that affect attendance rates? Have you noticed because you have this program in place, attendance is higher?
My attendance rate is in the 90 percentile. It has been in the 90 percentile since our inception. So it
Mhm.
definitely helps, and the support behind that definitely helps our young people. Not only do we do Man the Block at the initial dismissal, but we have a second tier of Man the Block for those students who are engaged in extracurricular activities after school, because that population has to get home safe as well. And we all know we want students involved with extracurricular activities. When they come from challenged communities like we serve at Richard Wright, uh, having extracurricular activities is a must. And that has helped us in a lot of areas where we've been able to achieve academic proficiency and support from colleges and universities.
You've had a lot of success in getting kids through high school and graduating from high school. I think you might even be in the 90% to almost 100% high school graduation rate. Is that true? And congratulations. I mean, I think that's just an incredible statement to your success and to the success of the teachers and the people that work at the school and the students and how hard they work.
Thank you for that. And I salute our students. Our 4 and 5 year graduation rate is very high. Each year, for the past, we've had five class graduations. This would be the sixth graduation this year, and each year we've had 100% of our high school seniors accepted to five or more colleges and universities. Last year, we garnered around $2 million in scholarships for our young people. And so many of them came in 3 to 5 grade levels behind. And now they're leaving. And I'm proud of the fact that I have three young people coming back to work for me who were the first graduating class of Richard Wright, and has gone on and graduated from college and graduated with 3.8, 3.9 GPAs from colleges. And they're coming back to become teachers. And that is how we're going to continue to tell the story, because they came from those challenged communities.
Dr. Clark, you have such great energy and you're able to relate to students in a way that I think is just incredible. Tell us about your journey in starting Richard Wright.
I'm still energized. I am still connected and dedicated, and I have so much energy around what we can do to change the trajectory for all kids throughout the country. And as I travel throughout the country and outside of and internationally, speaking and talking with different school districts, my vision is the same. And so some of the things that I've had some challenge with since the beginning is that, of course, when I opened the school in 2000, we opened our doors in 2011. I had this whole idea that, that truckloads of families would come in and everyone would be super excited, and they would drop everything and want to read, and there would be no challenges with it, and all the funders would come and they would just raise up the mind, the love for kids and the passion. Well, I was sad to report that all of that didn't happen. Uh, the folks didn't run in, the funders didn't run in. I was met with some challenges to say, well, we'll see what happens after 5 years to see if you're around, and we'll see how well you can galvanize parents and see what that works. And so we'll wait till 7 years and then we'll begin to do certain things. So we pushed through that, and now I'm glad to say that we are reaping a lot of the rewards. I can tell you that we have about 88% parent participation, because we've looked at different ways of engaging parents, um, not just a regular PTA. The community, we've realized that the more we get out and engage the community across the city, the more doors and opportunities are going to be open for our young people. So some of the challenges are there. I'm also challenged by some political situations, hoping that people would just throw money into education, because it is the one great equalizer that transforms this entire world. And I would hope that folks would begin to understand that we need to pour more money into educators and our educational program as a whole.
So you're on a new journey though this year, starting in August. You're going to open up a new school. Tell us a little bit about that, and tell us about your experience in going through the process of opening a new facility.
We've had some dynamic folks who have been on the team and helping to broker this whole um, program. I'm excited. Building Hope has been one of my great partners. Um, the banking industry has been supporters of us, and we are moving into an outstanding edifice for our young people, right in the heart of the District of Columbia, right on the hill, and where our kids can go and really be there to get all of the news and to be the journalists that they are, and developing their skills. And so I'm excited that we're going to have a brand new building with everything new. And this is for all the students that were the pioneers of Richard Wright and have gone through that. They did all of the hard work to open up a door for the other students to walk in, because a lot of folks don't know we started with a one floor in a half a school building, and we grew that 125 kids up to where we are now, and taking over this new building that's state of the art is going to be a phenomenal piece. And I can't wait to walk in and just see the eyes of the young people who are going to have a new school to learn. That makes me feel good and makes me feel great about the fact that my vision is coming to fruition. It's not finished, but it is pushing through, and kids are going to be outstanding for that.
But part of that vision, I mean, this is so exciting. I mean, part of that vision though was to 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 sort of evolve Richard Wright into a place where it's an essential hub. How does that help the overall experience of the education for these students?
It's going to be phenomenal, and what I've been saying as I speak around the country is that a lot of people have passion for working with students in challenged communities, and uh, definitely that support is needed. But what I've also said is that we don't have to open up centers for them right in the heart of the area that they're in. They've been schooled there their entire life. They live there, and sometimes they want to get out. The experience of seeing America at its best, seeing a Fortune 500, being able to walk past them and to create a trajectory in their mind of what they can become is super awesome. Our kids are going to be able to engage folks that they would never have the opportunity to engage if they were just in the communities in which a lot of them live. And so this experience for them is going to open their eyes to the diversity that's out there. We also wanted to make sure that this experience would broaden the mindset of the community, and to broaden the mindset that there are 90% of young people who have positive aspirations, and we could tell a different story.
Dr. Clark, when you started Richard Wright Public Charter School 10 years ago, did you think the charter school movement was an evolution or a revolution? And how has that changed in your mind today?
I saw the charter movement as a little bit of both. I think it was an evolution of what needed to take place in education. I think one of the challenges I had as a student growing up is that I didn't have voice over my education, which is so important for our young people. And so the evolution of evolving these schools where kids can be masters of their own education was so important. I think it's revolutionary because of the fact that we are able to channel something that people love, their passion and what they believe in. And it's revolutionary because the same stale stuff does not work. And so what I'm seeing now is that I think we're at a middle ground that that I believe that this pandemic is requiring folks to reevaluate the direction we were going and sort of get back to the starting point of the reason that it evolved in the first place.
Have you ever considered a Richard Wright Public Charter School in other locations, or expanding and growing out of the? I know you're just opening a building, but I mean, what does the future hold for you and for the school?
Well, we have ex- been talked to or spoken to and contacted by several different cities across the country about opening a Richard Wright in their respective city. And one of the things I've said to them is that I'll get back to you after year 10 and we'll have some conversation about it. I wanted to make sure that we got this right first. I believe that the downfall and the embarrassment of some situations with charters and what causes people to look at charters in a different perspective is that some folks wanted to grow too fast. And I wanted to get it right. I want to make sure that we took care of our home base and made sure our home base was solid before I entertained anything else around that. And so as we take on this new venture this year, I'm going to make sure this home base is together in the way it needs to be before I can entertain anything else around opening schools and other places. Because what I want to do in my passion is to support kids and to make sure that it's done correctly the first time.
For the young teachers, the young leaders, those thinking that they want to start a charter school, kind of as we wrap up here, what kind of advice would you give them?
Make sure you know what you're doing. Make sure that it's not just a fleeting thought. uh, be willing to understand the political landscape, and understand that you're not just going to go. You're actually running a business. You're not just going to go in and educate folks and kids and sit in a library, and everyone's not going to just praise you because you have a passion for kids or you have a few degrees or certificates. You have to understand that you're running a business. You really need to understand the political landscape and be ready to take on challenges, and as well as lose some friends, because you're going to lose some friends in this journey of trying to do what you feel is right. So and I would say the last thing is to make sure that you have the proper mentors. I've been able to do well because I have a mentor for just about anything that you can imagine. And great leaders always have someone they can turn to speak to about different
Yeah.
things so that you can continue to grow.
Who was one of your mentors, I have to ask?
Dr. Freeman Rabowski, the president at UMBC, University of Maryland, Baltimore County, has been one of my mentors for about 15 years. And he helps me see the world in a different perspective around education and what needs to happen for the next level of higher education. Dr. Christine Johnson McPhail is another one of my mentors that has worked with me on moving kids to higher education and getting those things together. So I have a myriad of mentors that are help develop me and move forward.
Well, Dr. Clark, I am so thankful for you to come on and chat with me today. I've been sort of holed up, not traveling, and it's just been a great experience to be able to hear from you. So again, thank you very much.
Thank you for having me. And, I could not do this work without some great folks. And, with the last week or so was Teacher Appreciation Week. And so I just really want to shout out all of the teachers, educators at Richard Wright Public Charter Schools for doing a dynamic job with the young people that we serve. We could not do this work without them. I would like to salute my administrative team. They are super awesome in organizing and developing, and and also the parents who are involved. I salute them because we have the best parents in the world, and I'm just really excited that they are on our team and supporting our school and our entity as we move forward. And last but not least, a big shout out to those young people who are students at Richard Wright Public Charter School. They make the place. They're important, they're big, they're bold, they're beautiful, they're bright. And I would challenge anyone with my team of students because they are just amazing. And I salute them and all of the work that they do in the direction that they're headed.
Dr. Clark, thank you so much for being here. I love your energy. I am, personally grateful for the work that you do for the kids in Washington, D.C. And I wish you, your families, and your students the best of luck. And please stay safe and healthy.